Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. Welcome to Defense and Diplomacy, hosted by Sultan M. Hali. It's been 12 days since Osama bin Laden was eliminated. Is this going to bring the end of the war against terror any closer? What are the repercussions of this, the consequences on Pakistan-US relations? To discuss this very broad topic, we are honored to have in our studio today former ambassador and seasoned politician Begum Abeda Hussain. Welcome. We have with us former ambassador Ashraf Jahangir Qazi, who is currently the Director General of the Institute of Strategic Studies. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Begum Sahaba, we find that the United States has been using religion to generate tension wherever it was interested. For example, it used the Jews against the Soviet Unions, the Roman Catholics in Poland, and then when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, it was the jihadism with Wahhabism and Salafism which was created. So how do you look at it now? What's going to happen?
Well, I think it's quite simple. The road ahead has been actually very well framed by in a comment that Fareed Zakaria has written, I believe yesterday, and also Zalmay Khalilzad, and also Friedman, also David Ignatius, and more or less the comment is that the United States has to dump on Wahhabism. And United States dumps on Wahhabism, then obviously it's a matter of time before what we have known of as Saudi Arabia reverts to being Arabia. Because after all, not so long ago, I think 78 years ago, thereabouts, it was Arabia, and then it became Saudi Arabia.
But do relate it to the war against terror.
Absolutely, because you see, to put those mujahideen together, to make the groups, after all it was the American covert apparatus that put us together with the Saudi and ourselves, and all the dissidents, you know, all of the characters that were anti-dictatorship or anti-monarchy in the Muslim world were sent off here. They were resourced by Saudi Arabia. They were mostly Wahhabis, and they became the Mujahideen. So the Americans then, you see, having done it all and having brought down, having won the Cold War, not in a small part owed to our effort in the underbelly of the Soviet Union, they then walked away and now concede that that was a mistake. However, that mistake cost Pakistan hugely. And also I believe that the Americans misassessed the situation in the late 70s. They thought that there was a nexus between the Soviet entry into Afghanistan and the revolution in Iran, which was inherited eventually by the Shia clergy, if you like, or Shia ulema. Now, they didn't opt to hear when Ayatollah Khomeini said, Marg bar America, Marg bar Rus. Because of the hostage crisis, they decided that the enemy is Iran and the enemy is Shiites, and therefore Wahhabis smelt like roses at the time. But that is not the case anymore, so there is going to be a very major shift. And what is extremely important is for us to notice that, you see, whatever is happening in the Arab street, as they say, is to do with democracy, is to do with fundamental rights, it's to do with civil liberties. Islam has not featured in it at all. The conversation among the Arabs has gone beyond religion.
How do you relate it to the incident of the 2 hand grenades being lobbed at the Saudi embassy
well,
the other day?
That's a giveaway, isn't it? I mean, normally speaking, I would have thought that they would be lobbing hand grenades at people of the Shia community, but because they understand, they've understood. Osama's followers have understood the point has been taken.
So, Ambassador Ashraf Jahangir Qazi, do you agree with this? Because you see what happened and what the Begum Sahaba just pointed out, and Hillary Clinton has said it in so many words, that it was a mistake to walk away from the region once the Soviet Union withdrew from Afghanistan. What they did was that they created these jihadis who virtually became Frankenstein. and they should have been de-indoctrinated, but they made the world a much more dangerous place. 9/11 wouldn't have happened, USS Cole wouldn't have been struck, and in consequence now Afghanistan and Iraq probably wouldn't have been invaded. How do you look at it, sir?
Well, my own way of looking at this is, we know that religious extremism is the major problem, But what has happened recently on the night of, May the 1st and 2nd, is far more fundamental, and it relates to the governance of Pakistan. We've had an intelligence failure. We've had a military failure also. We've had a policy failure, both internal policy and external policy failure. And overall, the root cause of this has been a governance failure, which embraces the space which has been given to religious extremists, whether of one sectarian calling or the other, whether it's Sunni extremism or Shia extremism or any other extremism. In the name of any ideology, any extremism only breeds counter extremism. So good governance means a whole number of issues, fundamental issues which have to be taken immediately, in the medium term and in the longer term, so that our political narrative is not dominated by ideologues who are of extremist persuasion. What we have now to do is to see why this happened and what steps need to be taken. Now, many of the steps that we need to take, we've got to maintain our relationship with America, is absolutely important, but our relationship shouldn't be a mixture of defiance and compliance. Our relationship should be one which primarily serves the interests of the Pakistani people, and the interests of the Pakistani people are primarily in terms of economic growth, reduction of poverty, investment in their health and education, and providing a better life for their children. We need a relationship with all our neighbors, we need a relationship with all our friends, and we shouldn't become part of the strategy of anyone. One of our most fundamental errors has been to become part of the American war on terror. We ourselves need to take out extremist structures in Pakistan, not as part of an American war on terror, because that sets us up for targeting from all kinds of quarters. We need to do this as Pakistanis. We need to cooperate with a whole range of people, and our relationship with America should not be exclusive. And if we improve the quality of our governance, it doesn't have to be a master-slave relationship, which it is almost becoming now. They have committed invasion, they've transgressed our borders. That is a crime under international law, and on top of it we are being apologetic. Why is this the case? Because of a major policy failure inside Pakistan, which has all these aspects which I've talked about.
Point taken. So Begum Sahaba, how do you look at it? Because you see what is happening, I recall a statement by the former president, who self-styled president, if you would like to call him, General Pervez Musharraf, who happened to comment once 9/11 had occurred, and he wanted to explain probably to the nation why he took on the American diktat. And he said that what I have done is that the US would have attacked Pakistan if I hadn't agreed.
I have saved Pakistan.
I have saved Pakistan. But now we see that the heat is being turned upon Pakistan, and for the reasons which the ambassador just pointed out, because we have put all our eggs in one basket. We haven't put our house in order. You see, let me remind you, Donald Trump, the prime Republican candidate for the presidency, the forthcoming elections, has had the temerity in the USA yesterday to give a comment that Pakistan will have to give up its nukes if it is looking for any more aid from USA.
Well, Hali Saab, first of all, I really feel bad for the Americans if they're going to end up with Donald Trump as in a serious position. But having said that, I agree with what Ambassador Qazi has said almost entirely. The only thing I wish to point out is that, you see, politicians really have not had choices, because if politicians differed with the arbiters of our ideological and our actual frontiers, if politicians differed, we were just marginalized. But I'm afraid the Pakistan Foreign Office abdicated responsibility for much less reason. Now, the result has been that foreign policy contouring has been done by people who are really not trained to understand interstate relations. They understand warfare, and they understand you know, the possibilities of an engagement of a physical kind. They understand weapons, they understand the possibility of weapons. They really don't understand public opinion in the way that they think they do. Now, you see, I think, I'm not, I think we have fairly competent defense establishment. I am not willing to believe, and I think there's been a comment in the newspaper today by General Asad Durrani, more or less along these lines, that we probably did know that that the Americans were going to zap Osama. Certainly it seems that there was some kind of an agreement that Osama they will get wherever they find him. That was a part of our engagement as an ally on the war on terror. Now, story of US-Pakistan relations is a very long and very mixed story, in which we have been sinned against, possibly more than we have sinned. I would say probably more. But to come to the matter at hand, I believe that our defense establishment was not caught napping. I believe that our defense establishment, as usual, misassessed public opinion and thought that if they are seen to be complicit with the elimination of Osama, it is going to create waves and ructions inside of Pakistan and among in the hearts of the Pakistani people. Osama stands very tall and blah blah. All of this was very self-serving assessment on the part of our defense establishment. I believe that they do misassess public opinion chronically. It's not a new story. They misassessed it in East Pakistan, as a result of which we lost half our country. It was a misassessment of public opinion. So similarly, I believe that we could have, and I think that if we had gone along with that, the Americans would have shared the credit and the laurels for zapping Osama with us, had we been sensible enough to say, right, we got him. But instead of that, we have we're whimpering and we're on the back foot and we're now priming hotheads to make all sorts of unreasonable statements. It is not about...
No, but coming back to the war on terror, how do you think, or what should be our actions now? Because the ambassador rightly pointed out, this is our war. This is our war. Right. And we have to do things without anyone else's dictation.
Absolutely correct. We have to dismantle the terrorist networks. They have damaged us. They have damaged business. They have damaged agriculture. They have damaged the flowering and the blossoming of our people. And it's time for all of this to be relegated to history. Pakistan is a pluralistic, diverse society, always has been. And I think that we have to be tolerant, which is what our religion
Anyway, point taken. I'll come back to you. Ambassador, you rightly pointed out that we have to fight this war at our terms, without anyone else's dictations. But the USA has been an ally, or we have been an ally of the USA. I would like to ask you, who needs whom more? Does the US need us very badly, or do we need them because we can't survive, especially if we think that we have the fear of India from the east?
This, Hali Sahib, is a relatively minor question. The fact is that both of us need each other for specific reasons. Right now, the way we govern ourselves, we need America's friendship and goodwill, if only to economically survive. Look at their bilateral influence. Look at their influence through the international financial institutions. If our relations were to deteriorate to such a point, do we have the economic strength to take on that? Theoretically, yes, if we adopt a more participatory and genuine democratic system in which the people participate. But in our present condition, can we afford a break in our relations with the United States, number one? Number two,